Go for it, man.
So for those watching who just tuned in, because there are a few that have come in the last few minutes, the idea of this is just to have a bit of a roundtable discussion, what's going on with Shadowlands, what you're looking forward to, and so forth. And we've got a couple of different perspectives in the room. So my name's Adam. I've mained a Warlock this expansion, and I'm going to be maining a Monk as a tank for the next one round. If we go around, do you want to introduce yourself, Stu? Do you want to go first?
Yeah, so I'm Stuart in real life, but in game everyone knows me as Trox, and I don't main anything because I love playing every single character, basically. But in Shadowlands, I'm looking to main a rogue, most likely, but anyone that knows me knows that'll last about 2 weeks, so we'll see what happens.
If you want to enter the sweepstake, I've gone in with 2 weeks before the first name
That's all it is. Honestly, 2 to 6 weeks. If I last past 6 weeks, then something's not right.
I think you'll make it to the first raid and then be like, nah, I'm out.
Yeah, exactly. I'll get a shit pass somewhere and then that'll be me, just pie it off.
Yeah, the character's shit now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm Jake, or in game Sprouty. I play a Volpira Frost Mage, because, always got to have one in the group.
140.
Yep. And I will always play Mage, so even if they are absolutely terrible next expansion, I will still play Mage. They are going to be great, though. I have hopes.
I had hopes for Warlock this expansion, and the moment I've moved away from them, they're looking awesome.
Yeah.
Typical.
Warlocks, they got shafted in BFA, but they're looking really good in Shadowlands. Back to what they were in Legion.
They are. It's definitely going to be.
Forward to the Affliction rework.
Well, that's what I've always played as Affliction. I think the dot and blast schedule. That's kind of where I want to go with the rotation, and that's what I enjoy playing.
Yeah.
Massively strong soloing, leveling, really good fun to play in the mythics and whatnot. So, yeah.
There's no real tank that's similar to Affliction, because obviously you get healer versions with like Resto Druid style.
Yeah.
But you don't really get a tank like that, so
I see the
struggle trying to pick a tank, because I know that's the kind of gameplay that you like.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I probably see Monk as the closest of all the tanks to that, purely because, you got your brews that you're managing, and you're managing the cooldowns on them at the moment. I know there are some changes coming in Shadowlands. You've also got the way you're managing your rushing winds around you, and there's a lot of timers and a lot of that sort of monitoring going on to get the most.
Yeah, that's true. Rather than just, Paladin, we just run in, and pop your shield up and that's you kind of thing.
You might be simplifying it a bit. You've got to hit the buttons when they light up as well.
Hit a gold button. Paladin's worst nightmare. I don't know what the fuck to do. All 3 buttons light up.
That's why Bloody just keeps remaking his Paladin, because he can't work out what the gold buttons are for. Because you've got now like 6 or 7 Bloody now?
7 Paladins? Isn't that that's like a fetish on its own, isn't it? Blimey.
I think he's good on none of them, as far as I remember.
Well, he's going to have to come back to Horde and prove himself, isn't he?
I'm sorry to all Horde Paladins, but you're just wrong. It's not right. It's like a lion's shame, and they're just.
I've
it's
never
not
got
right.
over it.
No.
Never ever got over it. Shaman should just be Horde and Alliance Paladins, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah,
it feels weird even playing a Paladin in the Horde for me, to be honest. Not a fan of it.
I really enjoyed it, but mine was made, as you guys know, somewhat as a bit of a troll. Good old useless.
Which they are.
I quite enjoyed him. There's 2 of the characters I leveled up really quickly. I really enjoyed. One of them was my Volpira Death Knight, and I've not quite lost enough shame to main a Volpira Death Knight called Arthas, spelt the Volpira way. Arthas. And I really enjoyed the Paladin as well, but yeah. That is actually almost how I spelt it in the chat there. Just 1 W.
Yeah.
I've got a Volpira Death Knight just waiting to be level called Witchwing.
Witchwing.
I don't, because I'm fucking lazy and don't do rep grinds.
You won't have to next expansion there. That's like one of the big things, isn't it? They're basically making it just the quest line for unlocking all of the old allied races, which is
I hadn't
awesome.
realised that. Okay.
Yeah, that's coming in pre-patch, so whenever that is, if you don't have reps, just don't bother getting them because it's just the quest line you're gonna need, even for the Legion stuff.
It's the same with flying as well. Don't bother getting like Legion or Wad flying or anything like that. Just wait till pre-patch, and I'm pretty sure it all unlocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will do. It will do. The BFA won't. So yeah, BFA flying you'll still need the rep for. But yeah.
But doesn't that disappear as well at the end of BFA and when Shadow comes in?
I don't
Really?
think so.
No, it's a bit like Legion in this patch. So what the plan is to always have the previous patch and the latest one is you need to unlock them. And then they'll just constantly... So the one after Shadowlands, BFA.
Trox is still not going to be able to fly around in BFA then.
Nope.
No. I've got an 8-year-old... I've got an 8-year-old girl that's frantically trying to get her rep up just so she can beat Trox and troll him.
Tell her she doesn't need to rush it, because I'm certainly not.
And she hasn't, to be fair. So.
No, Mechagnome, sorry, I just saw a message from Frank. Mechagnome should just be destroyed. They should not be a thing. They're just taking two of the... I don't know. Gnomes are bad in the first place, but Mechagnomes? Come on, Blizzard. There were so many more cooler races they could have picked from this expansion.
I was really shocked that they put Mechagnomes and Gnomes in the same faction. I thought they probably would have split those up so you can have the freaks playing both races on each side if you want to.
Thank God they never.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's nothing worse than walking about in Stormwind and seeing Mechagnomes running about.
You basically just see the diaper baby transmog.
The diaper baby.
Mecha Forsaken.
So you guys, Jake, you said you're main in Mage in Shadowlands, and Stu, you're main in Rogue. What are you excited about for the first period at least the leveling bit, maybe? What are you most? What's the changes happening? What are you most excited about?
Well, I'm glad they reverted the change they were going to do to and get rid of Shimmer for mages. I'm so glad they gave us that back because that would have sucked if they had got rid of that because they basically took away majority of our movement, which was annoying. But I don't think there's actually that much being changed for actual mage itself. I know we're getting a bunch of new spells that we used to have access to. Like, I think all mages are now getting Arcane Explosion, Fireball, and all of that stuff, I believe. But, yeah, I don't think there's that many, super many changes changing for mages. Just the whole cap of, I think we're being capped at 8 for our Frost Nova, for our Orb. And everything else is still uncapped, so I'm pretty sure we're going to be okay. It's just going to suck losing.
Today, actually, that your Cone of Cold and Blizzard are not capped, so it's uncapped AoE. So that's really good for you guys.
Cool, I like that.
Have you looked into legendaries at all?
No, not really. I've kind of been I've watched a few videos of people going on them, but at the moment, I don't think there's like enough being tested. I don't think everyone's going to get the whole idea of how well some of these legendaries are going to be and how badly some of these legendaries are going to be until I think the patch goes live, basically.
Yeah, numbers-wise, they'll never be able to figure it out until it's live, and there's always going to be a BIS one, but you can get the feel of how things are, which is the only thing about it.
Yeah, and they do tend to leave the very last tuning tweak till right as it goes live, so you cannot judge it beforehand. And the first tier is all about balance if they're able to get balance right. So what's going on with rogues?
Outlaw is pretty much the same. There's not much change at all. The only thing that they've done, which is a big improvement, because this may sound backwards to people that don't play rogue, is one of your main abilities between the eyes. So you build up 5 or 6 combo points and you spend it, and just now in the current game when I use between the eyes it stuns my target. Now that normally would sound like a good thing, but rogues have got so many stuns and things like that you don't really want a stun in your rotation because it can be super annoying in Mythic Plus, so they've actually got rid of that. So that's something that sounds a bit backwards. Or normally, if you get rid of a stun, you'd complain about it. But everyone, including myself, is quite happy with that. It means that, you know, Sanguine, perfect example where the tank's trying to move things back. You don't have the luxury of a blood DK or something where you can pull things, and all of a sudden there's, you know, an ad stuck in Sanguine getting back up to full health, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's just part of your rotation. So that cuts all that out. So that's good.
That is good.
So
there
it's
used to be a stun lock build way back when
Yeah.
I mained a rogue, and that was great fun. So
Yeah, so it's just like quality of life things like that really for Outlaw. Sub got a full rework. That's looking extremely good, especially with the new legendaries. So I'm trying to learn how to play that because it's a bloody nightmare. It's so confusing, but it's just one of those ones if you just keep chipping away at it. The problem is just now you don't get the... You need to put in so much work to get nothing back. So it puts off a lot of people from playing it, including me. I don't really want to play something where I've got to nail it 100% to get half the damage I could playing Assassination. So that's going to be an interesting one. And Assassination's going... It looks as if it's going more of a bleed crit build that you're going to have to play that. So that's the... Just now you can play two different ways. You can have a bleed build, or you can just build up 5 combo points and spend it on, you know, a big damage dealer in Venom. Whereas in Shadowlands, it's looking like the more crit you've got, the harder things are going to hit. So you're going to have to want lots of bleeds up to get constant crits rolling. A couple of legendaries are geared that way as well. So that's very much going to be a melee affliction lock, if you want to think about it that way. So that's going to be interesting. But how viable it's going to be, I don't know. Especially with Sub-Road looking as good as what it does. So there's a few changes with it. It's just going to be interesting to see once you get on live, you know, what you like the playstyle of and how you want to go from there, basically.
Yeah. I'm really shocked this expansion, just how skewed the rogue population are, particularly at high end, as in sort of heroic plus. The numbers narrow down immensely, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, raid-wise, you go Assassination and that's it. Yeah. And Mythic Plus-wise, only very, very recently, due to corruption, can you play either Assassination, but it's super specific build, or Outlaw. Before the corruption, it was just Outlaw. And they're trying to change that because Sub's been left so far behind. And Sub is so good in Legion. They want to try and bring that back, but it's such a confusing spec. You know, it's all about buff up timers and maintaining things and getting armor exposure before you do big hits, and if you don't have it, you don't hit the same, and you know it's quite a confusing spectacle. You can't just go in and button mash. You've got to be really systematic on how you build up and spend. So it's going to be interesting, that one, to see it. If it's good and the numbers pay off, then it's going to be a really fun spec to play. If not, it's the same thing that just happened this whole expansion where people just bench it, basically. It's not worth the time. So we'll see. There's lots of question marks over Rogue, I would say. Mythic Plus wise, it's still going to be Outlaw, 100%. Raid wise, I don't know if it'll be Assassination or Sub. Be interesting to see. What about Monk? What is it that you liked about them to be able to play that?
So
play that, I should say.
I'm really enjoying the style of it. In fact, just the sort of theme of the drunk tanking and the staggers and all the rest of it. I like that element of it. Bear in mind, a lot of the time we're all in the same room, so I am sat next to my healer. So if there is a load of damage in the stagger, coordination, although it is easy over voice chat, it's far easier when you're just speaking to someone who's next to you and you know exactly how they're dealing. Yeah, I can look over and see, right, she's got loads of mana if it's not obvious on my screen or whatever, how far behind us is she or whatever like that, and that's really helpful. It does, like I said in the pre-stream chat a little bit, the style of it, I love my Warlock. My Warlock as a main was a dot build and managing the timers and all the rest of it, and Monk feels a bit like that. And that level of it is really key. They're not getting wholesale changes. I've only really looked into Brewmaster and Windwalker. I am not a healer at heart. I get distracted by damage and people die. It's not pretty at all. I'm a battleground healer about best. But neither of those are getting massive changes, which I'm a bit disappointed about Windwalker, to be fair, because they feel You've got to really focus
They're
and get
underwhelming.
everything. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's great fun to watch someone kung fuing around and doing all these spins and, you know, the idea of a leg sweep taking out everyone in front of you, it looks phenomenal on the screen.
Yeah,
But then ultimately you look at the damage meters at the end and you think, Canal, I've worked really, really hard and I've only just come up to someone who's a
yeah,
demon hunter who's gone 1-1-2, 1-1-2, 1-1-2 again.
exactly.
So,
That's the problem, especially in melee, where that's what you're competing against. An
yeah.
I-beam and, you know, blade flurry for rogues. That's it. And they don't really bring much else in the way of. They're not survivable when walkers at all.
No,
You know,
they're
okay, they've
delicate.
got self heal, but they don't stand in self heal. That just isn't a thing. And Touch of Karma's been that nerfed into the ground that there's no point even popping it at times. So yeah, as you say, like you've got to do so much work to get nothing back, and it's kind of the same with Sub Rogue at the moment. But Sub's changing, and that's the thing. Whereas when Walker's staying exactly the same, pretty much, isn't it?
I'm really confused by Brewmaster. If you look at the change sheet, everything
they
is getting
changing-
revamped.
Aren't they basically changing the way the brews work and stuff, and they're taking them off like GCD? I'm pretty sure, and they're going on like their own cooldowns or something.
They're going away from being
to do with tanking.
Yeah, so there's two main brews in the tank in the normal rotation outside of epic cooldowns, and they share a cooldown at the moment, so you can have up to 4 charges of it, and you can spend it on either of the two. So you can either choose to take more damage in your stagger and to delay more, or you can cut the damage that's already in your stagger. And for those that don't know on the stream, the stagger is when you take damage as a monk, you don't take the damage immediately. You sort of knock it into your stance, and over the next 4 or 5 seconds, that damage comes back as a dot. So it allows you to manage that a little bit better and help the healers out and stagger it, literally.
Yeah.
They do seem to have changed a lot. So the two brews are on separate cooldown, and I think you get 2 charges every 30 seconds for the one that clears your stagger. But really, all they've done is change the names a little bit and tweaked around the outside. It's not like it's going to be a wholesale different spec to play. It's just a very subtle change in how you actually apply it and how you actually need to think about things.
Is it going to make the class more clunky, or do you feel it's going to make the class play a little bit better or smoothly? You're going to have like more of a choice kind of between your brews rather than having to pick one or the other kind of thing?
I think you're probably going to need to use both of them at the maximum to get the best out of it, whereas at the moment you do truly have a choice. I mean, there have been situations where I've had an absolute ton of damage in my stagger, and I've chosen to say, right, I can half this and knock 400,000 healing off the healing need over the next few seconds. But that's going to mean I've not got the iron skin for a while, so I can choose to do that and then go and kite the mobs for a little bit so they're not hitting me. Whereas in the new world, I won't have that choice because I've always got to try and maintain my defensive brew, and the cooldown, the clearing brew is only going to be available in a very fixed time interval, which if you don't use it, not quite on cooldown, but if you don't use it as regular, you won't get the most out of it. So
Yeah, it's quality of life until shit hits the fan, and then you're out of options.
yeah,
That's the thing. Whereas just now you've got, is it 4 charges off the top of my head?
yeah, and
you
4
get-
charges and your blackout strike reduces the cooldown on your brews, so you can bump that the speed of it up a bit.
The one thing that I've noticed with Monk, though, I can't even remember what this cooldown's called, but just now, if you cast it, it's like a channel, and you just kind of levitate and
Yeah.
float there. And if you move, it breaks it, and it's a damage reduction. Whereas in Shadowlands, that's just going to be a cooldown for you, so you're getting that. So, you know, for people that haven't played Monk, to get used to putting that in your rotation, if you run out of brews that you can't drink for, then obviously you've got that as a backup now, which is handy.
I mean, the one thing, because that's in the game now, but without with the movement breaking it, melee damage breaks it.
Right,
now.
okay, I didn't know that.
And it does in the future ones as well. So it's great if you know there's like a big magical effect coming in.
Yeah.
So if you've got Ilgan off Dressagath, that sort of thing coming at you, you can know, right, okay, I can take it, and the melee damage stops when they're casting. So you can use it for that sort of thing. But that's the sort of situational effect you've got of it. I mean, the fact you can move with it is is amazing. You know,
Yeah.
certainly for any dragon breaths or anything like that, I've sort of looked at that and gone, yeah, right, I can see instantly where that's going to be useful.
Yeah.
But
Why they couldn't in the first place is beyond me, because it's a bit bloody pointless. I don't think I've ever used it when I played
To-
tank.
to be fair, it is meditation. So from a theme perspective, you don't sort of
Yeah.
meditate while running. Well, I don't anyway.
Sound as if you're coming from Argent Dawn. You've been hanging about that dungeon.
Only on Sundays. Hey ho.
Sunday's the best day.
Well, apparently, I've heard. Someone's told me, someone with a slave. So,
Lad, wasn't
Cool.
me.
are there any other classes that either of you guys are really interested in that you've seen funky changes about?
I would like to try out Warlock Affliction, because I tried Warlock. Like, I tried to ult and a Warlock in this expansion, but with the amount of grinding they force you to do now to even make your character be able to then go and do the fun stuff, I didn't find it worth it. And then I was like, oh well, I could learn how to play Affliction, but they're changing that completely next expansion. So I was like, I'm just gonna wait till Shadowlands. But I haven't really done much looking into it. I just know they're kind of changing it, and it looks like it's going to be fun.
They announced those changes a week after I decided to change my main.
Oh,
Cheers, Blizzard.
I asked my slave to put a good word in for you.
But no, they do look really good. Affliction, you know,
Yeah.
the problem with the ramping up and the AoE issues seem to be gone. The Soda Seeds has gone back to how it was in previous builds. And they are unlimited on dot damage as well, so you can quite quickly see that spreading just a shit ton of dots in front of you as that goes through. So that's going to be really good.
Yeah, I like the Shadow Priest changes they made. What was it, yesterday? I had a look into that today. They look decent again, I would say. I quite like the Lingering Void thing, where you had to stay in your Void form as long as possible, but it doesn't play well. I think it was a really good idea, but it just wasn't executed well, so they've got rid of that now. It's made it into cooldown. Your crit's far more beneficial. The class isn't just going to be based off haste, so I think that looks interesting. Disc Priest, I know, is one that Jan's super excited about.
Yeah.
They look phenomenal, because they're just dipping in and out of the whole Holy and Shadow roleplay as well, I suppose, actually, of the whole class. And you get Mind Blast as well, so they're looking good. I don't know what their legendaries are looking like, but if there's damage orientated ones, they're going to be pretty good as well. And even Races the World First, stuff like that, they're just going to always want Disc Priest.
Yeah.
I
saw there was a stream I saw about a priest that was saying in the leveling element of it, that the Disc Priest and the Shadow Priest DPS output wasn't that different. Now it obviously changes once you're geared and you're at top level. But if you want to level and you like the Disc playstyle, you're not going to lose an awful lot, if anything, leveling in that way.
No, it's easier just to level as this, and you're never going to die. You just heal yourself by doing damage, so it's a win-win basically. But yeah, the new shadow changes do look interesting from what I've seen, and it's just been today I've been looking into it. Marksman Hunter's making a return, so that'll be good, because that's a good hunter spec. All hunter specs are boring in my eyes, but it's nothing as boring as Beastmaster Hunter, so to get Marksman back's a little bit better. Mage doesn't really interest me. Tried it a couple of times, just can't really get into it, so can't really speak on that one. Warrior, I don't know. I hate the way Prot Warrior is, and it's going down the bolster route again, and I really think that's boring, so yeah, that one's out the window for me. Balanced Druid, nope, not a fan at
The
all.
only druid that looks like it's going to be fun is actually Restro, and I've never played druid at high level or any. Well, I think I got to a level 60 once, and then I was like, meh, done with that. I just, by looking at what a lot of people are saying about the druid, like Feral, I don't think is coming back at all. I think you're just going to see the very, very rare people playing Feral. Balance looks like it's going back the old way, so it's going back to like Solar, and then I can't remember what's the night one called. Luna. It's going back to that, so it's kind of changing. And Guardian Tank just looks like it's going to be so stale. But
Again.
Resto looks like it's going to have some like fun, especially with the new like little what they called, they're not the Azerite traits,
The
covenants.
legendaries.
No,
The covenants.
The anima stuff.
Yeah, the Azerite power, which has just been called Anime power.
Yeah. I tell you, one class that I've never been interested in that I'm actually interested in now and want to find out more about it is Death Knight. They look seriously good. They
Okay.
really do. Anti-magic shield coming back. Oh, zone, sorry. Anti-magic zone. You know, so no magic, or reduce magic damage at least, because I'm not too sure which one it is, when you stand within that zone. Raid-wise, there's a utility to have that you can just put, you know, within a certain radius of you. Ideal. You know, if there's big magic effects and stuff like that, to have that at your disposal again, it helps everyone. That's great. Never mind the fact that Frost is getting two-hand weapons again. Unholy's looking really good again. Can control more minions and stuff like that too. So that's a class that I've personally not been interested in. That looking at it now, I'm thinking, all right, okay, I might actually get an ult for that or a main for a couple of weeks.
As soon as Shadow drops, you're gonna play your rogue for probably a day, realize how they are to level, and you're gonna be like, you know what? I'm gonna go make a DK.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's DK main by Christmas is what I've just interpreted from that.
I'll just mark that one in the book. So
as the raid opens.
Yeah.
Or by the
I
guy.
think for the raid opening, I will definitely be rogue.
That
And
could
then
be a
as
while.
soon as I
You
get
do
in
know
the
that.
raid. Yeah, no, that's fine. It gives me time to get other stuff caught up. But yeah, I'll pretty much know after the first raid if it's a class I want to play or not. Because obviously the level squish is a big thing. So you're losing all your haste, you're losing all your crit and everything else. Every class is going to feel slow. And I don't really like the bleed build on assassination, and it's a little bit putting me off, so I don't know. But yeah, DK's looking good.
Frank's just put a good point in. If you are going to make a DK, make it before Shadowlands drops, because the level squish. If you make it during like Shadowlands, I think you start at level 10, or is it level 20?
Yeah,
I think you start at level 10. Yeah.
He's feeding my autism. Alcoholism. But that's a class that I've genuinely not been interested in, and seeing the changes, thinking now that does actually look quite good. I'm trying to think what else. Obviously, we've spoken about Affliction Lock.
I must admit, I've not looked at what changes are, but I've really enjoyed the playstyle of Elemental Shaman when I was leveling them.
Oh yeah, Shaman do look good. They got, I think it was more Enhancement got changes. Than Elemental as such, but yeah, that's looking interesting as well. I played Shaman for quite a while, believe it or not, consistently. And yeah, I don't know if I would rush back to it. Kind of know how it plays. You know, it's not going to change too much. And it's just another builder, spender, caster. And, you know, there's other things I think for me personally that I'd be more interested in, like Shadow Priest, especially getting changes. Tried Major Hunt 10 times and I just can't get into that for some reason.
I must admit, I couldn't get on with Arcane or Fire, but I really enjoyed the Frost Mage. I thought that the rotation, the reacting to the cooldowns. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Glacial Spike's good fun. It's just very, 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 very slow. I much prefer the build I'm playing now, the crit haste one. Yeah, I know it's not as OP as the Glacial Spike one, but it's way more fun to play. It's like more my style. But I know for a fact that Shadowlands drops, I have a feeling I'm going to go be playing the Glacial Spike until we get some more crit haste gear.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You've got to change your playstyles to suit your gear.
Yeah.
So, as long as you know going in, I'm going to be playing this build because it's going to be too slow otherwise, then I think you'll be fine. It's the people that don't prepare for that and they're going to get caught out big time. If they've never played a first raid tier, everyone's slow. Like, I don't know if... Like, this is speaking through somebody else telling me, but Unholy Death Knight is at the start of Aldia of Battle for Azeroth, and they were built on haste and crit in Legion. I'm not 100% sure if it's crit, but it's definitely haste. And then coming into this raid, and they didn't have any. They're literally just standing there waiting for things to happen. And that's going to be the same again for any class going into Shadowlands because you don't have the gear. So this is that's one of the things that concerns me about Assassination Rogue, where it's like, well, I know I'm not going to have the haste I want. I'm not going to have 40% haste like what I've got just now. So, looking at the other options as I do.
Yeah, you got it. Dwaz has just asked, is there any Demon Hunter changes DPS wise? And I must admit, I've not looked at Demon Hunters at all.
I think they're getting it's just the AoE cap basically, and they've not got any more buttons, so you don't need to worry.
I think it's still the 1, 2, 3.
Exactly. So
you can play it with the original Microsoft mouse, just 1, 2.
Yeah, exactly. Play it and go to sleep.
I think they might be having a few things removed that like Havoc has got that they don't really use. Like just looking on the Wowhead thing, it looks like they're having something called Blade Mastery removed. That is like the whole.
So they've upgraded to 2 buttons then?
Yeah, Fell Mastery is being removed, sorry, which is like increases Fell Rush damage by 150%, but I don't know if that's going to be removed the whole way.
Yeah, I mean, who plays Demon Hunter? Demon Hunter tank's an interesting one. I do enjoy that.
Well, we're going to have me and F as tanks, so we're going to have a Demon Hunter and a Brewmaster tank as our main 2 tanks in the raid going in. And I guess probably following on from that, that's the first few mythics as well for the old guard. That's going to be our standard setup, at least until Jan's finished leveling his priest and does his Death Knight again.
Yeah. Frank's favourite's a Demon Hunter tank. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
He absolutely hates him. He hates him more than Mechanomes, I think.
He may have mentioned it a few times.
Like just Demon Hunter tanks or Demon Hunters in general? He just
Demon Hunter tanks. Yeah, just the tanks. I think he's okay with the DPS, but the tanks, he can't stand them.
They just seem to fly around all the place. I just don't understand how that is like enjoyable to play when you're just like leaping from side to side and.
It is fun, to be fair. Honestly, if you've never played a Demon Hunter, I'd definitely recommend it because it is fun. It's just a bit boring in the raids, I find, but see Mythic Plus, they are really good. Genuinely.
Brill. So that
only tanks
in terms
flying die.
Flying die, indeed. Monk tank. I mean, Jan, you're right. Monk tank looks solid for Mythic Plus. It looks solid for the raid as well. So,
yeah,
it tends to be the second.
Stand with it. That's the thing.
The second tier, it does tend to struggle a bit because you don't get the big damage increases that some of the other classes do. The decent monk tanks, if you look at even some of the best ones, they're nowhere near a warrior or a demon hunter or the top damage tanks, and that's a bit that I know I will struggle with a little bit. I like being able.
Output?
Yeah, I really like playing my warrior tank. I really enjoyed being able to beat the lower end of our damage output. The big pulls, you can pull 120, 130k without really trying hard. Before the Twilight Devastation was a thing and ruined that level of balance, you could still do that, and that was just amazing. Whereas with Monk, you're sort of like, right, okay, I'm up to 50. Woohoo.
Yeah, they've never been damaged tanks, but they are sturdy. That's the thing, and that's what people like about them in the raids. And everybody knows, okay, well, even if he's going to get one shot off this, it is still staggered damage, and not one shot, but 500k hit kind of thing. It's still going to come in bit by bit. So,
and if you're alert and as a decent monk tank player, if you're alert to that, you can just knock off 250k of it instantly. And that's what's going to make the difference. For me, it's whether I notice that or whether I just go, oh, why did I die? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You can't do anything about it. That's the thing. But no, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how the tanks changes as well, because monks stayed consistent for Race to Mythic, world first, and it probably will throughout Shadowlands. But especially in heroic level or lower end Mythic, Paladin tanks sucked at the beginning, absolutely sucked, couldn't take a hit, and then towards the end, now they're seriously strong again. So, going into Shadowlands, it could be reversed quite easily. Yeah. Paladin tanks could be the one to go for. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Paladin tanks are quite powerful at the moment, aren't they? And same with the healers.
Yeah, they're good. They're good just now.
Yeah.
The pugs I've been in, and where it's been a paladin tank or a paladin healer, they've been able to deal with some crazy amounts of like bursting stacks and stuff, which is it's just impressive how quickly they can pop off some of their healing. But a lot of people saying that Holy isn't actually like super fun to play. Or
it's just built on Glimmer. It's just as soon as you just put one dot basically on somebody, and then you can just heal. And anytime you do damage or heal, you heal other people. So it's a bit boring, but they are good. And yeah, it's melee spec, as Jan just said in Twitch chat. I know he doesn't like them.
Yeah, there's one of the monk builds for the healing. I've only just started reading up on monk healing to say, right, I need to learn how to do this.
Is that the fist weaving one where you're punching at the same time as healing? I was about to say that'd probably be the best healer for Trox, so he can sit there and do the DPS and still heal everybody.
Yeah.
I like the rest of it because you just go in cat form and let everyone else panic.
I loved Rasta Druid. I leveled him in Battlegrounds, so in terms of like healing 40 at once, that was pretty much the learn how to heal spec, and it is really strong. You know, you've just got to trust. Yeah. You can't panic as a Rasta Druid healer. That's the challenge. You've got to just let your hots do the work and trust that they're going to come through.
Someone's just asked, why is your door curved, Trox?
I don't know. It's not actually, obviously.
On the camera, it's kind of like warping.
Yeah, you got a fisheye lens, I think.
It's a £12.99 webcam is probably the issue.
So, okay, so we've gone through classes and whatnot. What have you guys seen about the Covenants? Is there anything that you're particularly enjoying about those? So what we got?
Really looked at, like the actual abilities. I know the mage is getting some cool looking ones. Like the only really ones I've looked into is the I think it's the Venfear, where I get to turn into a giant skeleton mage. I don't know actually how well it's going to play, but it seems like a really, really cool idea. But other than that, the Night Fae looks pretty cool. Like the actual quest line for the Night Fae.
Such a furry.
Shut up! I like my the Night Fae, like their quest line is something completely unique. It's kind of like a whole. I don't really want to do massive amounts of spoilers for anybody, but it kind of looks like you're going through the history of the whole of like what's happened before and stuff. And it's just like it seems like a unique idea. But yeah, Trox is basically right. It is just cutesy wootsy.
Typical bloody Volpera.
I get to turn into a fox, which is even cooler.
I've gone the opposite way. I really like Venfear. I think Venfear. I was thinking probably my warlock more than my monk. I haven't really looked into the monk, to be fair. I'm just going to judge that at the start. But that is a beautiful covenant with some really powerful abilities for warlock. So I think that's going to be exciting.
The Necro Lords as well. I can't remember what they're called, or if they are called that.
They're called that. They're all where is it? Maldraxxus is the zone they're in, isn't it?
Yeah, like the look at them. I like the fact even if you're not going for the abilities and stuff like that, the mounts that you get, the transmogs, all that kind of stuff. Let Sprouty kick about in his fluffy, flowery gear, and I'll come in as a big Necro Lord. That's no problem to me. But stuff like that. I think they've done well with that. It's going to be interesting how much the abilities sway people's decisions rather than just I like the look of this zone or whatever.
Because we're at that weird stage where everyone's trying to sort of downplay the abilities and go, oh yeah, I like the transmogs for that. And you sort of sat there going, bollocks.
Yeah.
There is no way that is why you're choosing.
Yeah. I mean, if Night Fae came in and it was the best ability, which actually for Assassination Rogue at the minute it is looking as if it's going to be, I might be forced to take that because that's the way that I play the game. I don't want to be, the Necro Lords and have a crap Covenant ability. It's just not me. So stuff like that. So right, okay, I'll just do it then. Do you know what I mean?
I misspoke on my point. It was the Necro Lords that have the giant skeleton mage.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
And Venfear have the mirrors. It makes more sense the Necro Lords to have a giant skeleton mage rather than the vampire people. But I haven't looked at the Kyrians at all. They don't look very interesting.
They look very paladin-y,
Bastion.
don't they? Yeah, it is
Is that the
Bastion.
Bastion place? Yeah. Yeah, they've actually got quite an interesting ability for rogues. I don't know if you know about this one, but basically what the ability is, so you press the ability and it'll select a random combo point. So it can be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 if you take the talent to take 6. And it lights up as a little blue circle, and if you use your ability on, say it chooses 4 for talking's sake, if you use an ability on the one that it's selected, so 4 in this example, it treats it as a 7 combo point spender. So your Envenom, if you're using that, would hit exceptionally hard, or your Rupture would hit exceptionally hard, and it adds a whole new dynamic on how that class plays then. Because normally you build up to 5, you spend on 5, and that's it. So that is actually quite interesting, but I don't know how good it's going to be. This is the thing again, where it's like, it makes it interesting to play. Is it going to be slightly annoying in a raid where, oh shit, I've just used an ability on 3 because the combo point was there, but I should have used a bleed to get that empowered or whatever. So
is it
I don't
gonna
know how
mess up your
viable it's going to
rotation?
be. Yeah, that's the thing.
The challenge
On
is if they
paper, it
balance
seems
around
good.
it, that becomes
Exactly.
that becomes a meta spec, and if you don't play it, you're nothing. That's going to be the risk, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
What-
All
Especially
these
for-
rogues playing Kyrians just doesn't sound right at all.
No, it
What's-
doesn't. But the thing is, like, if sub's going to be as good as what people are speculating it is, and I've got a funny feeling it will because of the legendaries and stuff like that. One of the legendaries is if you get 100% crit coming out of Vanish for 5 seconds. So say I go Kyrian, I get that ability, I come out of Vanish, I do my opener, I spend the Kyrian ability, so I get an extra 7 combo point spender. That's huge for sub, because all they do is spend on one thing, which is Eviscerate, which hits really hard anyway. So you're talking about some serious burst windows,
Yeah.
which is all sub is. It just then you would just chill, just do your normal rotation, build up again for that burst window, and by that time you've got all your cooldowns back. So it could be just that's the only thing you can take because it's just going to be that good. And you're kind of pigeonholed straight off the bat then.
Yeah, that's always a worry. I think it's odd, isn't it? The game's gone from being everyone knew that the rogues were top damage, and then it was typically the mages and the warlocks in a tier below. But people still accepted taking all the types of damage class, and they just knew the outputs was going to be different. But the utilities made up for it, and we've almost gone into a point where if you're a damage dealer and you don't do this number, that's it. You're not worth it. And I don't particularly like that element of it. I enjoyed when the classes were more different. It really pains me when I look at the MDIs now, and you look and you see there's a monk healer, a warrior tank, and 3 beastmaster hunters, and that just depresses me that every single one of the teams is identical makeup. That shouldn't be the case at all, should it?
No, it's the same with talents. They should make talents more viable. I mean, this whole expansion, I've just went with the one talent build that I followed off like Warcraft logs or whatever, Raider.io or whatever it is, because it's a case of, well, I can't go that talent because it's total shit, basically, and I'm not going to put myself in that position, and I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to turn up to the raid and be that guy that's running something different. Because I do it. I know for a fact I do it. I sit in the raids, look at people's talents, go, oh, that's wrong. He's not going to do as well because he's taking the wrong talent. And it just shouldn't be like that. A little bit more balancing on even something as simple as that. It just opens the door for opportunity everywhere, in every class.
I was desperate for warlocks to get a viable Nightfall build, because that's the build I used to really enjoy playing, but it's Deathbolt or nothing in the current expansion. If you didn't run Deathbolt,
exactly.
you were giving up 4 or 5k DPS just straight off the bat.
Exactly.
And that was crap.
Yeah, it's just been a running theme, but it's been like that for a while. It's not just BFA. It has been like that for a while. Because obviously Sprout has just played BFA. You never played Legion or anything.
No, I stopped in Mr. Well, I stopped at the end of Mr. Pandaria, the beginning of WOD, and I think I got to 100 and was like, what is this game? I have to now go and basically stand in a little house and send people to go and do my adventuring for me? Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm done. And then I think I came back for... I think you brought me back, didn't you, Chucks? With the pestering of the messaging. Coming back for raiding in VOD.
This is my slave.
Oh, it's all come out. There we go.
Yeah, it's probably me. I'm quite persistent on shit like that.
But it's been good fun.
But yeah, but you would have seen a massive change from, I can't remember in Mr. Pandemic.
Oh, yeah,
I'm pretty sure
like-
talents wouldn't have been as cutthroat as what they are.
No,
or
it's
have
like
been since
now,
Legion.
for me to run a different, like, for me to even swap, so roughly I can swap between maybe 3 talents. I can swap probably about 3 talents out for the build I have. But if I wanted to go for Glacial Spike, I have to go and respec my entire gear. Like, I have to completely change my stats. I have to completely change this. So it's not like I'm able just to be like, oh, I want to play Glacial Spike today, you know? I'm going to go throw some giant icicles at people. I have to then run around with another set of Azurite gear in my pocket. I now need to run around with a bunch of different essences in my in my neck. And it's a bit stupid in my mind. I miss the days where there was BIS sets, you know, like BIS mage
Like
sets.
tier sets.
Like tier sets and stuff,
Yeah.
where it was like running for the stats and like you got the best gear from the raids, like the top tier raids, you got the best gear. It just seems like you can basically buy your
Well,
stuff.
you can be mythic geared from doing mythic plus. If all I did was mythic plus, I'd be better geared than any one of you. It's just in heroic raids if that's how you geared. But I mean that's a whole different thing altogether. That's not changing anytime soon. I don't think.
I know. I don't think so. But no, I miss BIS gear sets. I hate the fact that my entire bank is filled with mastery gear just in case I decide to go for a Glacial Spike build, or if, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen the new looting system actually in Shadowlands? That's
the chest, the
Yeah.
weekly
weekly.
chest looks pretty interesting. If it works the way they're saying it's going to work, it seems like we're going to get more of a choice, which is good because there was weeks, and there's probably Discord messages from in the guild with me moaning about getting the same belt for like 4 weeks, 5 weeks in a row, and I was not happy. So being able to get like an actual choice between, even if it's like 3 items, you know, even if it's just that, it's still better than that random piece of rubbish that you get out of the chest. Now.
Do you know what? I wouldn't mind if you got a belt 4 weeks in a row, but you could change the stats on it.
Yeah.
That wouldn't bother me.
That would be better.
If that was a system. Or you could, you know, because obviously Professions is getting a full rework as well. We've not even spoken about stuff like that in Shadowlands. But, you know, if you had a Joe Crafter that could, somebody in the guild, and you could set it up where, right, okay, I've got this belt, it's crap at the moment, but can you change it to crit haste? And, you know, you had to go and get the mats, or whatever it was. That would be more interesting than getting the same belt 6 weeks in a row.
Yeah, it is. Jans has put on a chat. I mean, the way the system works, basically, you've got 9 boxes. Each one of those boxes will open up a choice at the end of the week. So the Mythic Plus has got three choices within it. For the highest level key you get a reward based on that high level key. You trigger the second reward at the moment when you've done 5 Mythic Pluses.
Frank's just said they've changed it. It's now 1, 4, and 10.
Okay.
So I
missed that.
Yeah, I think they've nerfed it now.
That's
But
good because it was 1, 5, 15.
Like, 10 keys in a bad week is still like 10 keys in any week is a lot of playtime. You know, that's a lot of grinding they're asking us to do. But
I'd put money on it being 1, 3, and 6 by the time we actually get to the system live, and that doesn't feel too terrible. I mean, ultimately, if you still just do 1 decent level key a week, you're in a better place than you are today. Because if the reward is absolute dog shit, you can still choose and go, do you know what, I'm going to take the currency instead and that'll be useful.
Yeah, exactly.
Depends how much they give us for the currency, because if you like look at buying, like, I'm just going to say, I know Azurite gear is different, but when you scrap an Azurite piece, you get like what, 200 back or something, if it's like, or like 2,000. If you want to go buy a piece from the shop, it costs you 20k. So if
it's weeks worth of keys to get something.
It's a bit it's crazy. But don't get me wrong, you can go play the RNG tables for 9,000 thing. That's still what I think 15s now give you like 2,000 not echoes, 2,000 of the
Residium
essence stuff. But no, I don't. I hope that they give you a fair price for it. You know, even if it's just like 75% of it, or like 10, even if it's like 50% of like an actual item, at least they would give us, you know, it would make it a little bit okay. I'm going to go the currency, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the way that you do a little bit of PvP and it opens another one up, and obviously your rating you'll have to be there to get to. And the raid bosses is similar in terms of opening up at whatever levels is it? Is that 1, 6, and 10 from memory? In terms of raid bosses,
I
Kel?
think so.
So I love the fact, you know, in a typical week for us, without trying too hard, I've probably got 3 of those options at a decent level.
Yeah, exactly.
And it wouldn't be a big push to get 6. Yeah. And that's 2 hours of raiding and maybe 1 Mythic Plus a week.
Yeah.
You know, I can get the kids a decent choice in the family raids and the family mythics as well. So I think that I'm really excited about that. I think that'll work well. What I would be really interested, I don't know if anyone on the stream's particularly avid PvPer, the conquest vendors coming back, and I've no idea on whether that's a good thing or not.
I think
What, the
it
vendors,
is. Yeah,
vendors
the
coming
vendors
back.
are.
I'm so happy vendors are coming back. PvP vendors were the greatest thing in MOP.
Okay.
Being able to like farm out the whatever the currency was back then, being able to farm that out and then go and actually buy the items that I actually wanted, not go in randomly, open up a box and hope that I get a actual useful piece of gear. I was able to pick and choose what my hard work went into, kind of thing. But I hope the gear that you get from them isn't like too overpowered that people are going to be able to buy their way to top gear. But I also hope that it's going to be able to help out those who aren't as lucky with the RNG on the whole drop rates and all of that, and they're able to, like, you know, not get the BIS belt, but get a belt that's better than the leveling belt they had previously.
Or like a pre-raid BIS system.
Yeah.
Yeah. I must admit, I missed the days where you had very separate PvP gear, which had incredibly specific stats, and
It's like
even
resistance, wasn't it? There was like there was a certain stat on it that gave you like what was it? It was something
PvP
resistance,
damage or something. Yeah, there was a damage stat and a defensive stat, wasn't it? And it was amazing. And I really liked that, because if you didn't do much PvP, you were fucked.
You went
do you know what?
You couldn't just jump into arenas with all your Mythic Plus gear and smash down someone who's been doing arenas. You could go in there and you would know the difference between someone who's doing PvP and someone who is doing PvE.
I went in a battleground with my Protection Warrior with his Twilight Dev stuff on, and I was amazing. You know, the defending the flag, 4 of them had come at me, and it'd just be woo woo woo. Oh, you're dead.
Twilight Dev's horrible.
Resilience, yes, that was it.
So overpowered. It's so sad. It's amazing. Don't get me wrong. It's hilarious watching a tank's DPS go up to like 400k in a Mythic Plus, but at the same time, as a DPS, it makes you kind of sad, because it's just like, oh, I'm being beaten by a tank by like a lot right now. It's literally just because Twilight Devastation's gone off.
Yeah, a million health Twilight Dev's gone. Yeah. So I do find it hilarious when you do some pug mythics and you've got like it's normally mages, nothing against you, Sprouty, that are stood there miles away with Echoing Void popping off clearly, and you're sort of looking, going, "What are you doing?"
I remember when the whole like corruption thing first came out. My first corrupted item that I got was Echoing Void.
He was literally that dipshit.
I started playing my own.
What do you mean was?
I started playing melee mage, so I was basically a mage inside of melee territory. It was not fun. Mages basically wear napkins as armor, and every time anything went off in melee, I would just drop, and it was like, well, that was fun. And I think it was doing all right. It was like my third place for a range thing, but no, until the corruption lady came out, I didn't get rid of it. I had that for months.
The corruption lady. That's an official title. Yeah, I remember you running about with Echoing Voids.
I still haven't got bloody
Twilight Devastation the day before they dropped. Not Twilight Dev. I got the Infinite Stars the day they nerfed it. I thought that was quite comical.
one of my kids got Infinite Stars 3 really early and hadn't really got his head round the corruption system, so just went,
I remember this.
that's a lot of corruption, I'll cleanse it. And I'm sat there as a warlock just like, you've done what? Have you clicked confirm on that?
Just sleeping in the garden tonight.
Just get out, go.
Yeah, I remember you turning up to that raid night, letting everybody know. And there's
I
like
was
20
fuming.
people in the chat, just like, oh my god. No way. Oh, well.
I've still never got any infinite stars on Malamba. I've got, I think, 3 pieces on Hikanu, which is the most useless thing possible.
Yeah, ever.
Yeah, not even with
now
decent seconds.
it's basically useless. The only useful like corruptions, mainly for DPS, are all the ones that are. I think Mind Flay's still pretty good. Okay, in
Infinite Stars is still a beast in the raids. What are you talking about?
Oh, in raids, yeah.
You've got to be single target.
Yeah.
You need the procs. It's simple as that. It's total RNG.
Yeah.
So if you want consistency, it starts. But in the raids, if you look at the best sims, it's all Infinite Stars shit. And the sooner that goes, the better. Because it's been a total joke, this expansion, for stuff like that.
Well, I've not done a lot with my corruptions or my resistance, to be fair. Once we got through the raid, my focus has been leveling on my alts and actually gearing all of them to about 440-ish, so they can level in Shadowlands pretty well. So as the corruption all drops away and everyone else is decimated, I'm going to be, it's not much of a difference to me, it's alright.
Well, it's all, I don't know what's happening in pre-patch with corruption, but there's a lot of level squish and all that, so I think you'll feel the effects of all that going anyway before even Shadowlands comes away.
Corruption vanishes with pre-patch.
Aren't they changing all the traits into... I don't, this could be wrong, it was just something I overheard. Aren't they changing the traits, like all the essences and stuff, into stats rather than just so they can just get rid of them that way? Or are they just like decreasing them, just getting rid of them completely?
So the last I heard was corruptions are vanish. As soon as pre-patch hits, they go, because the connection turns off's gone and he's defeated. The neck powers work when you're on Azeroth, but don't work the moment you leave. So the moment you'd go into the Shadowlands realm, they won't function anymore. The really disappointing thing I heard was it's likely we'll still wear that neck piece while leveling to max level in Shadowlands, because the stats on it, if you've gone, I think, to 90 or above, the stats on it will beat any piece you'll get leveling. Which I hope they change that, because I think
that's stupid.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? Because it's ruining an equipment slot, which I think is a bit.
It's going to be very sad. It always is, I guess, at the start of an expansion when you remove all that gear you've worked so long for, and then you change it for a green. It's just like that cost reward's way better than this.
It's the same with legendaries and Legion as well, though.
Yeah.
And your artifact weapon. Because most of them had usabilities, and they all left. Actually, a couple of them have turned into legendaries for Shadowlands, I noticed as well.
All right. I miss Legion because a bit like Jake, I stopped playing in the middle of Mess Pandaria. I got to level 90 on my mains and did a bit of the raid tier, and then the reality of having 2 very young twins hit in, and we gave up for a while. And we didn't come back till Battle for Dazra Laws when we came back, so quite late into this patch, this expansion even. Yeah,
like midway through, really, isn't it? That raid.
My first raid with our guild was the heroic attempt on Mecha Talk. I mean, what a horrific fight!
That's not a fight for your first raid back. That is not a fight for your first raid back.
No, and I stand in stuff. I stand in lots of stuff. That was not pleasant with them sheep. That just wasn't good.
No, that wasn't a good fight. It's just one of those ones where I think the concept was good, but the execution was just awful.
Don't get me wrong, I loved it, because in my head I'm raiding again, and this feels challenging, this feels hard, this is how it should be. But yeah, I think after week 3 I was a bit like, I'm raiding again, and it feels so hard. So what's
been your favourite boss that you've done in BFA, out of interest? Same for you, Sprite, if you want to answer as well.
Ashfane.
Well, none of Nihilover.
Ashfane.
I think the push challenge.
You got stuck and you had to push a lot more.
I think it was a push challenge. It was the first one where we knew our execution as a guild was pretty good, It was just it was an upgrade. It was a block that we had to get over, and yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
In fact, that whole time, and it was a lead up to it, and I think once we got through the next 2 bosses first attempts almost.
Yeah.
Because we got that smooth and that good.
Because I joined you on Queen's Court when I joined the Old Guard.
Okay.
Progressing that. So yeah, I wasn't there for any of that, but I seen Cadden Hungary's legendary fact sheet on DPS
spreadsheet.
output and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. So yeah, that's interesting. What about you, Spritty?
My favourite was probably Opulence, just the way of how different it was. It was such it wasn't a DPS nuke, it wasn't a healing check, it wasn't a tanking check, it was everyone had to work together as a team to get to that second phase to then be able to deal with those. I think because we spent so long in there, you know, and it was so stressful. I think once we got that down, like it was an awesome feeling.
It's a good moment.
Other than that, probably like killing N'Zoth, like that was pretty awesome. That was like my first like actually getting curved, because before that, majority of the time I quit because, you know, I was
He's a furry.
I'm done.
He's a furry night fae.
So I don't like this anymore. I'm out. But no, and then I came back for this, and no, raiding with Tog was awesome. Like the social aspect, I think that like for the actual like raid content, Opulence was my favorite boss. But for actual raiding all out, it was probably like the Tog raids with the whole social dynamic and like how it was cool. Once we all got curved, we all went off into the new Dalaran, which I felt like Trox because I can't fly in Legion. So I was just stood on the floor, just like, yeah, what's going on? But we took that big guild photo. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
How about you?
Mine was Crucible Storm. Definitely Crucible Storm. The first boss, can't remember his name. Uqbal or something like that, I think it was.
Yeah, I know the one.
A phenomenal boss. Like mechanically, having a range tank and stacks, you know, threat coming back into the game, positioning, you know, you could have crap DPS, but if you failed the mechanics, you were done for, and I loved that. It was really cutthroat. So that was probably my favourite. But the best kind of raid, you know, like you're talking about that kind of feeling, you know, when you get curves and stuff like that. Yeah, I'd probably say Jaina. Jaina was a good one. Yeah, Jaina was a good fight as well, to be fair. There's been a couple. The only raid I've not liked this whole expansion was Uldir. I thought it was a dreadful raid. The only boss I liked was Zoe, and that was it.
Was that the one you were in the elevator?
Yeah, the first raid. Yeah, that was really bad. We solo tanked the first 2 bosses and knew pretty much straight away this is just going to be shit, you know. So I'm hoping Shadowlands sets a good raiding example, nice. Even if it's a low tier, even if it's just a couple of mechanics, just a lot better than the standard that Uldir set. I think we're in for a good expansion because it sets the tone for the rest of the expansion as well. For me, anyway.
It's only one thing I'm like super worried about with the new raid. It's the same problem I had with the whole of the N'Zoth stuff. Is everything was purple, and trying to see like purple on top of purple on top of purple is hard. Well, for me anyway. But the new raid's red, and that's even worse. So it's going to be great trying to find things that are on the floor that are also red. So because I think it's basically red upon red upon red for the next one. So that's going to be quite fun.
There's one of our raiders actually. He's colorblind, and he streamed the raid one week, and he put it on because he plays WoW with some of the adaptive technology. So it looks in a way that he can see and he can differentiate. And I was absolutely blown away by some of the tools that exist within the game to help people with that shortcoming or that disability. It was just amazing, and I must find that stream and try and link it because it was really fascinating to see. I've never seen it before because why would I go to those options? You know, it's not something
I've never seen it.
No, and one of my kids, he's colourblind, not to that same degree, but you know, we're playing a board game. If there's red and green pieces, he has to check which one's which. And once he's got his head round it and he knows the tone differences, he can remember which one is green.
Yeah.
But you ask him and he's no idea. And that was amazing. You know, that's something that I'm really impressed with how they've done. And it was fascinating to see the 1 week that Slacks and Cad couldn't stream, that this guy stepped up and streamed and did it with his astigmatism. So
nice. No, I just use very loud sounds that tell me to get out of things. Majority of the time, it's just like a little beep or a little like scream in my ears, just to be like, okay, I'm in the wrong stuff.
Yeah. GTFO mod, isn't it?
Yeah, but there's a lot of the stuff that I learned through like actually just doing it. You know, over the time I figured out, okay, this is slightly a different shade than this one, so if I stay on this side, I'm not gonna die. No, it's just been kind of hilarious. Being like, going like, oh, is there something underneath me? Yeah, my health's going down. I should probably move now.
Well, one thing I do hope we get right in Shadowlands, you know, it's as much as some of the bosses were questionable, the actual feeling of the raid in Nyalofa was amazing. It felt like a truly big,
it was
epic.
massive.
The setting was spot on, and it's the first one of this expansion's raids where I thought this feels like an old epic raid sort of scenario, and I hope they get that right.
Because like Crucible Storm's my favourite raid, but it's probably the worst designed one. You know, if you looked about Crucible Storm, it's just like the room from Shrine of the Storms. It was dreadful, absolutely dreadful. But they nailed the bosses, and it's like, why can't you just get this right? Where it's, you know, you've got the perfect rooms, you can look about. Aldir was quite a good raid as well for that. I thought when
I missed
you looked
Aldir,
down into the middle, when like from the outside and from the first maybe first maybe 2 bosses, it was rubbish, nothing to look at. When you got into that room, the first time you ever went into it, and it opened right up, and you could pick whichever way you went to the bosses. That was good. That felt like a raid. It felt like, right, okay, I know exactly where I want to go here. But then the bosses were shit. So, you know, the only place I wanted to go was the exit because I couldn't fuck doing the raid. But yeah, Aldios felt good. Like, it felt like a raid. It feels good going to different locations as well to go to it. I like that. The
new one looks pretty big. Like, what I've seen of it anyway, like the first boss room just looks like a bunch of, I don't know if it was bodies hanging in the sky or egg sacs or something. There was something in the background. It looks pretty awesome. Like, it looks big, and it looks like how a raid should be. Like, dungeons should kind of feel like a 5-man group should be able to walk into here and take it down, you know? Where a raid should be, Chucks is going like, so we should have 30 people walking into it. We should be walking in.
30-man raid team.
I
keep hanging on about this 30-man raid team. For me, that's the perfect heroic raid size, is 30-man. Because it feels like, you know, like exactly what you're talking about. Like a raid is there's a full collective group having to go. A 10-man raid to me doesn't feel like a raid, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. No, I get that.
Like the biggest thing of watching the classic stuff was like watching the amount of people going into some of those raids was like awesome. Even though like mechanically classic is quite simple. Like mages is basically Frostbolt the entire time playing. But like the actual like feeling of like walking in, I think it'd be pretty cool of having like, you know, 30 people or like just a lot of people in a big raid. But should be fun.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Shadowlands first raid holds for us. Is that castle something? N something? Can't remember. But yeah, it does look interesting.
I've not looked into the mechanics or the details of it. I've had a quick look at the setting, and the setting looks interesting.
Yeah, I've seen a few of the bosses. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's looking good. But it's so hard to tell until you're actually in.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. What's your thoughts? Because obviously we're all in the same guild together. We're in the old guard on Bronze Dragonflight, and it's not a top tier mythic guild, but it's a pretty solid heroic guild. You know, we deliver at the level that we aim at. What do you want from the guild? What are you hoping? Sort of thinking, you know, of all of the different stages of the expansion, the pre-patch, the leveling experience, the gearing experience, and the raiding. What are you hoping for?
30-man raid team.
I knew you were going to say that.
That's it. So, Bug, when you watch this, we need more people.
Well, do you know what? We've got a number of people that are on a bit of a vacation at the moment, and if they all come back and we keep hold of all of the new entrants that
Yeah.
I often do describe our method of recruiting as social osmosis, because we don't actively go and recruit, but we do tend
Yeah,
to
it's
come
not
across the right
accident.
people and bring them in. I mean, I came in that way. It was a complete accident, and it's been a great
And so
home.
did I.
Yeah,
That's exactly what happened to me. Yeah, I mean, guild-wise, like, obviously the goal is curve, which has been achieved. For every raid tier that I've been here, which is only 2, it's obviously... Oh, is it 2? Yeah, 2. It's obviously been done, so I'm happy with that. I would like to see more Mythic Plus, because it's something I'm interested in. A couple of Mythic Plus teams pushing against each other, I think could be really interesting.
yeah.
And we've definitely got capable players. It's just a case of trying to organise things sometimes is more the issue than actually getting, that higher level key done or whatever it is. But I think that would be interesting. PvP isn't really something that I do, so it doesn't really interest me. The transmog runs is something I'm only starting to get into, and the achievements, because it's just not something I've ever done. It's just never the level I've played at. So yeah, I'm quite happy just to see how it'll be interesting starting an expansion with a brand new guild. I've never started an expansion with a heroic only guild. I've only ever started with mythic guilds anytime I've played. So it's going to be a total different mindset, what people are looking for, what they're hoping to achieve. But I'm quite happy to put myself into that and build up and, get to the raid and go, right, okay, I've got maybe 3 characters I can jump on here all ready to go. So yeah, it'll be interesting. But that, for me, it's just a case of a nice raid environment where you can achieve and everybody's sitting, even just, average. If everybody sits at average, you're going to achieve, which is what we've been doing. So getting people in that mindset, we want to get curve, this is what we want to do. Having Mythic Plus teams, if that's an option, I think that could be really healthy for the guild and build it up as well.
Yeah, Jan's put in the trap pretty much what my thoughts are. Getting a bit more Mythic Plus, a bit more of a team in there.
Yeah.
Personally, I haven't been in it since Nihilofa, but I'd like to. And actually, some organised PvP, we've got some people who do get pretty good ratings on PvP.
Yeah.
And getting them to sort of lead a little bit of a, rated battlegrounds and things like that, that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, for me, it's been a big perception mind change because I've only really played in a guild as a mythic level. So to say starting an expansion knowing, okay, the goal is curve, I'm quite happy with that. And it's a case of, right, well, how can we build the team? How can we make things better, make things easier for everyone? Class changes, people might need help or whatever, bringing more people in, building up raid teams, Mythic Plus teams. That, I think, is a nice direction to go in, and it just betters the guild as well.
Yeah, the pace will be a challenge, I think, from your perspective, from a Mythic Raider pace compared to where we are.
Big time, yeah.
I mean, even within this room,
2 raids. Yeah. The past
even
2
within
raids,
this room, I'll get top level very, very quickly, and probably so will 2 of the kids. A Buck and Demon Danger, they'll get there pretty quickly. But Alpha and my wife, they will take their time, and they'll thoroughly enjoy the game, and they'll get there eventually. But we know as a 5-man group that we're not all going to get there at the same time, and I'm probably going to run a main ult, so Malamba will level at the same pace as they do, and I'll just match my pace to them. Whereas my main Hakanu, which will be my monk, he will be pushing ahead, and depending on when it falls and whether I've got holiday, hopefully it'll be done in a day. We'll see.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Yeah, the pace thing is something I have struggled with, but I feel like it's more reminding myself, right, okay, it's fine. It's fine just going at a lower pace or whatever, and not feeling the pressure, because that was a big thing in Mythic, especially if you raid at that level. It's the pressure of, I need to be at this level, I need to have this big, I need to do this, that, and the next thing. I'm going to run Mechagon 15 times till I get this ring. And it's like, I don't need to do that now. So, why am I? Do you know what I mean?
Do the bits of content you enjoy.
Pretty much it.
That's the idea of it, isn't it? So, cool.
What about you, Spouty?
Oh, I'm kind of looking for the same thing. I'd love to have more of a Mythic Plus kind of being able to log on and being able to be like, yo, does anyone want to go push some keys tonight, and not kind of be just only like having like a few people kind of there to kind of push it. I would like to have a few more, a few more groups to go in. That would be pretty cool. I love the idea of guild rated PvP, like having like a whole guild going in just onto a battleground. Even if we have no idea what we're doing and we don't win it, I still think it would be a laugh.
We can put skulls on the mechanomes and it'll be fine.
Yeah, it'd be great, we somehow got through that. Was it Carapace? That was the terrible achievement.
Yeah.
We got through that and we were all laughing, by the end of it. So I have a feeling that it's gonna be. I feel it's gonna be cool. I've never gone into an expansion with a guild. Like I've always when I joined MOP, it took me a while to find a guild. When I joined WOD, my guild kind of disbanded. And then I joined back with this one with the idea of joining Trox on the whole going with Battle of Dazalore and stuff. And then found my way across to you guys. But no, it's kind of the whole social aspect. Like, I'm kind of done playing this game, kind of not pushing it to like the max, but I don't really mind if I don't see Mythic rating until it's like getting into the pug stage. I don't mind if I don't get up to like 24 keys. I would love to get to that high, but I just want to play it to have a bit of fun. I just want to jump on, have some fun. But I have a feeling that as soon as Shadowlands drops, that I'm not going to be logging off until I'm 60 if I have the time off. So come on, Shadowlands, drop now.
So it's October at the earliest, isn't it? That's probably where we are, because they've gone ahead and announced Q4 to the stock exchange. So I don't think they can legally go any earlier than that now,
Ooh.
or any later. So at least we've got boundaries at both ends.
Yeah,
but we might not get what we expect when it comes out, kind of thing. If they can't, I don't want them to rush it out. I don't want them to throw it out at us and then be like, "Hey, here it is in all its bugs and gloriness." And just have all of the stuff that, because the biggest issue with it didn't take them like nearly 3 patches to get the neck right before the neck was actually worth anything, kind of thing. Like the whole traits and stuff, didn't they add that in like 2.5?
Yeah, it was more the Azurite. The Azurite, you had to grind to get to use it, so there was so many people, like majority of the player base was playing with this Azurite that they couldn't use.
Yeah.
That was the problem, because they weren't going to sit and farm out 500 islands like all the Mythic Raiders did. But I did sit and farm out Mythic Islands at one point, which is probably why I hate them now. So, there's another aspect going into Shadowlands where I don't need to think about stuff like that.
Well, I made it a goal that I was going to be the first one to level 80 NAC in the guild, and I didn't touch islands. That's just not content I enjoyed. I just did it in a whole other variety of different ways. But
I thought it was kind of fun running in, pulling a bunch, like the entire island, and then killing it all at once. I kind of thought that was pretty fun. But they were very, very mind-numbing. You could, by the time you ran it once, you know the exact route to kind of run around to pick them up all efficiently and then nuke them down. But one of the other main things that I'm looking forward to is foam swords again. I'm really looking to our foam sword duels. I think they are amazing. They are.
Have you won any?
Yeah, I won one of them. So I still have one victory, and then I lost it the next week. So
that's the one where you ambushed my 8-year-old child, wasn't it? And just twatted him about the head when he wasn't even at the keyboard. I've won!
I didn't say I was proud of my win, but
I've seen some dirty plays happening when the foam swords come out.
What, Jan pulling you back to him?
Yeah, the grip. He's unreal for that. Or swapping people.
Cool. Is there anything that's worrying you guys with the state of where we're up to?
The whole how hard it's going to be. What is it going to be to change a covenant? Like, how bad is it going to be to grind out that? That's the only thing I'm worried about, is how much grinding do I have to do before I can do the fun stuff, kind of thing. Like, it seems like BFA is just being a continuous grind, and I don't want Shadowlands to be like that. I want it to kind of, not get to a point where your character's finished, but you get to a point where, you're not always looking, I don't know, just get to a point where it's fun kind of thing, and you're not always sat there going, oh, now I have to go push this to then get this up to then be able to run this kind of thing.
Like the Azerite system, basically.
Yeah, I can't wait till that's gone.
Yeah, I mean, WoW is a grindy game, so you're always going to have that.
Yeah, I just don't want it to be a continuous kind of like, if you don't, it's like, what annoyed me the most was the whole point of like, I would get a chess piece, and that chess piece would be like 100% upgrade from the other one I had, but its traits it had on it were absolutely rubbish. And it was like, okay, I'll go back to that 4-4-5 piece rather than going up to this 4-6-5 piece, because the traits are actually going to make my DPS worse. I just don't want it to be like that, you know, always chasing the RNG kind of thing, but I guess it's WoW. I will still do the grinds. If they throw them at me, I'll still do them. I'll just complain while doing them.
Yeah, I mean, my main concern is you sink time into, say, the Bastion Covenant, Kyrian, sorry, and, you know, you pick that, that's the style of gameplay I want for the Rogue, is, you know, the 7 combo point thing I was talking about earlier. I think it's going to be fun. And then you get to the first raid. Our raid's on Sunday, so that gives all the Mythic Raiders from Wednesday to Sunday to fully clear normal and heroic and get the logs out multiple times, because they'll split with different runs. So I'll have a chance then to have a look and see, right, okay, what's all the top tier rogues doing? And none of them have taken that ability. They've all taken something else. And then it's panic. Right, I need to make sure I'm getting, you know, the Necrolord's Spike Blade or whatever it's called. That's going to be really annoying. And then it changes again in the next tier and stuff like that. I think if there's a way around that, so it's just balancing then, basically, then there's not too many things that are concerning me, to be honest, because they've taken on community feedback really well, it seems. Shadow Priest looked absolutely dreadful, and they've totally reworked it. Maybe they'll do that with Feral as well, who knows. So yeah, I mean, it's just a case of balancing, and Covenants is a big thing. They've changed. It used to be if you had the different abilities, it was almost like gems. If you replaced it, it was gone.
Yeah.
You'd have to grind that out again. That's all changed. So I mean, that's good. That's all steps in the right direction. The gearing process looks fine. Like, can't complain with that. There's again steps in the right direction. It's just if the raid's going to be interesting, is the dungeons going to be interesting? So far, they look pretty good. So it's really just the Covenants, to be honest, which is what the expansion's built upon, which is a concern.
I don't know if this is old news or anything like that, but is it the Covenant system? You're able now to change it, but once you've changed it, you can't swap back for a week or something like that?
So I think there's two mechanics going confused there. So the Covenants, as I understand it, if you're Kyrian, if you pick, that's the conduits I think you're mostly talking about. You can still change your Covenant, and changing isn't that bad. But if you go from Kyrian to Necrolord and then you want to go back to Kyrian, that's where you're going to have to grind. And it's a bit like the Aldor Scryer from the Burning Crusade, isn't it? That you can actually going back is just going to hurt.
Yeah,
and I think that's the bit I'm a bit worried about in terms of.
It'll get to the stage you'd be better off having 4 rogues, one in each Covenant, if that's the case. You know, and I'll raid the first one, Kyrian, let's say that's the best abilities and all the rest of it, legendaries, whatever it is, that's the best you can get. And then it changes, and it's a case of, well, there's no point me going back to go back again, so I'll just leave that just in case in 2 tiers time that's going to be the best, and it's just going to be under-geared, and I can sort that quickly. So I'll just play my Necrolord rogue.
So you're going to have Necrotrox, Troxian, Troxifay, and
anyway.
Troxer.
No. It's going to be Furtrox.
Furtrox.
Just let my slave level up one.
You'll come back to nothing on your account.
Exactly. That could be an option for the top tier raiders.
I think we'll see that. I genuinely do. But the trouble, I think the way they've tried to balance it off is it's a little bit like the pain of alts in BFA, isn't it? With the it's gone out of my head what they're called. The conduits. If you're not up to the level and where you need to be with that, it's going to be a bit painful, and I'm sure they'll put catch-up mechanisms as they normally do. The trouble they've got is the catch-up mechanisms are dull as dishwater. That's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah,
I
and you
hope-
can't change that.
I
That's the
hope
thing.
they do make it alt friendly, because BFA in my mind is not alt friendly. I don't
No.
care what anybody says. BFA is not alt friendly. Having to regrind out essences again, even if it is just grinding echoes now, it's the most mind numbingest thing ever. Going through,
What's
like
the
you just
cape? Even
the
just the
cape.
cape. Oh
Yeah.
my god, I'm fed
Like,
up doing that
what?
bloody cape quest
like,
line.
why can't my cape just be the same level over all my accounts? You know, just give me just one cape that I have to level up. I don't mind having to do the cape grind once. You know, don't make me then do it like 3 or 4 times if I decide, oh, I want to go play a warlock today, or I want to play this, or you know. I hope they make Shadowlands a little bit more easier with the whole. I understand you've got to gear up and you've got to kind of grind out some bits and bobs, but I hope they make it like you have access to your conduit library on all of your characters or something. If that's how it's gonna, if it works the same way as the next kind of things, like it's just gonna swap between whatever class and spec you're running, kind of thing. I just kind of hope it goes that way rather than the same way it is now, where it's like, oh, if you have to run an ult, you basically have to recreate another main, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how
Yeah.
Trox has done it the entire expansion, to be honest.
Unemployment recently, and that's been about it. Boredom. I get fed up
Unemployment
with the
and
same
COVID.
pattern.
Troy.
Yeah. Shocked
I must-
2020.
I must admit though, there is, you know, you look at my monk, I've got level 3 or 4 neck on the essences I use at the moment. I was trying to work it out the other day. I've still got 21 different essences across the 3 specs that I need to get to level 3.
Mad.
That's insane.
Madness.
Don't do it to yourself. Don't do
Just-
it to yourself.
No, I'm not going to. I mean, I must admit, I've got a shit ton of echoes because I've not really invested in the corruption system. So I'm going to be able to get any ones that I might want to have an experiment with for whatever reason. I can probably get them to that level pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Certainly, there's probably about 10 that I want to. I'm not going to grind out the PvP. I've already done that on one, so that's an instant buy. I think there's 3 essences across the specs that are instant buys on that. But yeah, that's my worry with conquest.
as well, because there's a lot with the rep as well, which you could just buy straight out if you've got like exalted with the person.
So I have with my main. He's got ludicrous amount of exalteds, but I haven't with Hakani yet. So he's still. I've got revered on Nazjatar. I'm not touching the Mechanomes because Mechagon just offends me. It's just wrong.
But if you've unlocked it on one character, can't you just buy it from Mother?
You can if you've got the echoes, yeah.
Okay. So you don't have to regrind out the rep to then be able to get that rank 3. Okay.
Oh, you just buy it. You only play mage, so you wouldn't know probably.
So that's the trouble, isn't it? You know, you've got the specs that are not. So Malamba, largely the neck essences, is about 3 that change depending on what spec you are. So there's not a massive switch around. Because I'm playing, I've got a melee DPS, a tank, and a healer role. There's like 8 or 9 for each spec that just aren't available to the other specs. So the
I'll
amount
be
you
honest,
have to grind.
I've picked alts because of essences. It's like I'm not gonna play Frost DK because I can't be arsed getting Memory Lucid Dreams, for example. You know.
You got it on any of your characters?
No, and that's the thing, because I didn't have a main this expansion, it caught me out big time. My main would be my Druid, because I did play that the most and caught up the most, but I've also got a Holy Paladin, which I played a shitload on, what do you call it, Eternal Palace, before I came to this guild. So it's like, well, what do? Do I continue to play the Holy Paladin because I've achieved 90% of essences or whatever, even though I'm not going to be playing it, or do I just play other things and pick my essences around of what I've already got? So I chose, well, I'll just pick my essences around what I've already got.
I mean, it's the people that just before the whole Echoes and Ilofa came out who actually grinded on individual alts and got neck pieces that they needed to, and you know, I do think the Echo system works because you can do the content you want to do and be able to afford
It
it.
should have come out earlier though.
Yeah, definitely. It should have been there from the start, and then everyone would have been dead clear. It would have been the
like
world of
I should have
difference.
been, because the whole other thing as well is some of those corruptions, because the whole corruption shop as well is great. I think that's a fantastic thing that you can go in and pick whichever ones you want. it kind of is a bit strange that you have to wait sometimes for like the shop to decide that that's what it's going to run that week. But you know, that's kind of fair because some of the like you'll get some of the corruptions from like your chest, and it'll be absolutely pointless. It will be like healing increases healing or like
avoidance.
decreases damage done to you, and it's like I'm a DPS, I don't need this. You know, like give me my haste and my crit kind of thing. So
Although the avoidance would help.
Yeah. I don't think it actually moves your character though.
Oh damn it! No, it won't help then. If it's green, I stand in it.
Green means good, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they tackle stuff like that.
be good. Be good to do this sort of thing reasonably regularly through the expansion, so we can see how prescient we were or how real our fears were or not. So.
Yeah.
So if we're still all playing the same characters.
No, mine's new. Yeah, well, will the Call of Affliction have been too much? It won't be in a raid, but in Mythic I might main Warlock in the Mythics if it's fun.
Yeah, it does look good.
Ollie's really enjoying tanking, so I might not be allowed to tank in our family 5-man. So
perfect.
I've been usurped.
Yeah, exactly. So,
what's he using as a tank?
He's got a Demon Hunter that he takes.
Oh, nice.
Demon Hunter tank, and he's Beastmaster Hunter is his main, and he's pumping out pretty good DPS. One of our Guildies, the Boars, has helped him a lot with it because I know nothing about hunters. So
the last Mythic Plus I ran with him, he was doing pretty well. Yeah.
Awesome. Brill.
What are you?
Well, I'm going to wrap it up if that's all right because we are
that's perfect.
way over time, but it's been good fun. So we've done almost 2 hours. Yeah, we've done almost 2 hours, and we still haven't done everything on our list, which is impressive. So
I knew that was going to happen, to be honest.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting it.
Yeah.
Kind of.
No, it was good. Thanks for having us, Adam. Thanks for setting it up. It was really good.
No, very welcome. We'll try and get some more people in the guild to come and take part and to give us opinions over the coming weeks. I'll have a word with Steve and see if he can come along. I think his stream is hosting this one actually.
All right, cool.
By the look of it, we'll see. I host his when I'm not there as well. But brilliant.
That's awesome.
Thank you to everyone who showed up tonight, and listened to us jabber on for the past 2 hours.
And everybody now knows that Sprouty likes Night Fae.
Yeah.
And Trox has a slave.
It was a hard secret to keep.
Brill. Well, thank you everyone. It's been a pleasure. It's been good.
Cheers.
So, all of the guys you see do stream. So the links are on the bottom below my page. So if you're looking for them, you've got Troco, and I can't remember your name, Jake, on stream.
I think it's just Attic Mutt.
Night Fairy.
There you go. Brill. So it's at the bottom there. So
change it to Night Fairy now.
Brill. Well, yeah. If you like what you see, obviously follow all three, and hopefully we'll see some more as time goes on. Cheers, guys.
Yeah. Cheers.
Take care.
Good night.
Goodbye.